March 7, 1945. Germany was collapsing. Soviet forces were crushing the east, Allied bombers were turning cities into rubble, and American armies were racing toward the Rhine River, the last great natural barrier protecting the heart of Nazi Germany. Hitler had ordered every bridge over the Rhine destroyed. If the Allies crossed too quickly, Germany's final defenses could collapse in weeks. But then something unbelievable happened. Near the small German town of Remagen, American soldiers spotted a bridge still standing. Not damaged. Not destroyed. Standing. And within hours, thousands of troops would storm across it under artillery fire, machine guns, and demolition explosions in one of the most dramatic moments of World War II. This is the story of the Battle of Remagen and the race for the Ludendorff Bridge. The bridge itself was massive. Built during World War I, the Ludendorff Bridge connected Remagen on the western bank of the Rhine to Erpel on the eastern side. It stretched around 325 meters across the river and was heavily fortified with stone towers, anti-aircraft guns, and demolition charges. By March 1945, Germany was desperate. Adolf Hitler had declared that any commander who failed to destroy a bridge before the Allies captured it would face execution. Most crossings over the Rhine had already been blown apart. The American advance toward Remagen was led by the U.S. First Army under Lieutenant General Courtney Hodges. Spearheading the attack was Combat Command B of the 9th Armored Division, part of the U.S. III Corps commanded by Major General John Milliken. Its mission was simple: advance rapidly toward the Rhine and secure any crossing possible. Leading elements included the 27th Armored Infantry Battalion, the 14th Tank Battalion, and the 89th Reconnaissance Squadron. Their role was speed. They were moving so quickly that German defenses were collapsing before proper resistance could even form. On the afternoon of March 7, Lieutenant Karl Timmermann's forces approached the hills overlooking Remagen expecting to find a destroyed bridge. Instead, they saw the impossible. The Ludendorff Bridge was still standing. German engineers had prepared explosives beneath the structure, but chaos and shortages were crippling the Wehrmacht. Some detonators were weak, some cables damaged by earlier bombing, and many units defending the bridge were made up of exhausted remnants from shattered formations. The Germans defending Remagen included elements of the 277th Volksgrenadier Division, local engineers, anti-aircraft crews, and scattered Wehrmacht troops. Their purpose was to delay the American advance long enough for the bridge to be destroyed. At around 3 p.m., German engineers triggered the explosives. A massive blast erupted. Smoke filled the bridge. Pieces of stone and steel flew into the air. American troops watched from the hills expecting the bridge to collapse into the Rhine. But when the smoke cleared, the bridge was still standing. Damaged, burning, twisted, but standing. The Germans had failed. What happened next became one of the boldest assaults of the war. Lieutenant Timmermann immediately ordered an attack. American machine guns and tanks opened fire on German positions while infantry sprinted directly onto the bridge. The crossing was terrifying. German soldiers fired machine guns from towers and tunnels. Snipers targeted engineers trying to cut demolition wires. Artillery shells slammed into the steel structure while American troops ran across open sections with no cover. Some soldiers later described the bridge shaking beneath their feet as fires burned around them. Sergeant Alexander Drabik became one of the first American soldiers to fully cross the Rhine River during the assault. He reportedly yelled to his men not to stop or fire while running because hesitation could mean death. Behind the assault troops came engineers from the 9th Armored Engineer Battalion. Their mission was critical: remove unexploded demolition charges before the Germans could attempt another blast. Under constant fire, they cut wires and threw explosives into the river. By evening, American troops had captured both ends of the bridge. The Allies now had a bridgehead east of the Rhine. It was a disaster for Germany. Hitler was furious. Several German officers involved in failing to destroy the bridge were court-martialed and executed. The Nazi leadership understood exactly how dangerous the situation had become. The Germans launched repeated counterattacks to destroy the bridge. Luftwaffe aircraft bombed it. Artillery hammered it day and night. German frogmen attempted underwater demolition attacks. Even V-2 rockets were launched toward Remagen, one of the few times ballistic missiles were used tactically against a battlefield target during the war. None of it worked. Meanwhile, American engineers performed miracles to keep the crossing alive. They repaired damage constantly while constructing pontoon bridges nearby to move more troops and supplies across the Rhine. Within days, over 25,000 American soldiers and thousands of vehicles crossed into eastern Germany. Entire units poured through the Remagen bridgehead, accelerating the collapse of German defenses. The bridge itself would not survive much longer. After enduring days of bombing, shelling, vibration, and structural stress, the Ludendorff Bridge finally collapsed on March 17, 1945. 28 American engineers were killed in the collapse and many more injured. But by then, the mission had already succeeded. The Rhine had been crossed. The capture of Remagen shattered Germany's final defensive line on the Rhine and accelerated the Allied advance into the heart of Germany. And it all began with one bridge the Germans failed to destroy.